the world of freight brokerage, each day brings a whirlwind of tasks and responsibilities, making it a dynamic and demanding profession. Contrary to popular belief, the journey doesn't get easier once your brokerage is up and running. In fact, that's when the real hustle begins. So join us in this week's video as I walk you through a typical day in the life of a freight broker. I'm Benjamin Kowalski with Freight 360, where we provide the latest transportation sales tips and training videos to help you reach your goals faster. If you're a fan of our content, please support us by crushing that like button and sharing us with all of your coworkers and colleagues. And for more information on our freight broker course, Freight Broker Basics, check out the link in the show notes or our website, freight360.net. To kick things off right, getting an early start is crucial. It's astounding how much time can slip away before diving into your work. So remember, the clock starts ticking when you start being productive, not when you first sit down at your desk. So resist the temptation to get lost in social media and focus on the tasks at hand and what's in front of you, right? Now, with your coffee, you got your coffee in hand, you've read the news, right? You got your systems fired up. Let's lay out the plan for the day. And the first order of business is going to be scanning through voicemails and emails to ensure there are no overnight hiccups waiting to ambush us. That means checking in with all of your carriers over the road for updates. In the world of transportation, surprises aren't usually pleasant, so staying ahead of the curve is key. All of these updates, by the way, they need to be entered into your TMS, Transportation Management System. Remember that this piece of software is the central location for your freight brokerage and your business. And every update and every message should be logged in there, right? Because you're going to need to be able to check it later. And it is a great way to make sure that you're organized and have the updates you need when your customers also need them. Okay, now once we've cleared the deck, so to speak, right? It's time to start touching base with our customers, right? And a morning call serves not only to confirm maybe today's loads that you've already discussed previously, right? But it's also to provide maybe any market insights or information that might benefit your customers or shippers, right? Remember, as a freight broker, you're not just the middleman. You're a trusted advisor, an extension of your customer's supply chain and operations. And an example of this, right, of a market update, right? It could be a traffic accident that a driver told you about by the shipper. It could be unexpected weather that blew in, right? And maybe there's a road closure, right? It can literally be anything that you think might affect your customers' shipping operations. Anything you come across, if you share that, it's going to be received as valuable, right? Because building strong customer and shipper relationships, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one or two phone calls. It really takes persistent effort, countless phone calls, and sometimes playing the hero with their problem loads, their spot loads that they're stuck with. But stick with it, and soon you'll earn their trust with the consistency of your service and your follow-up. Next up, covering loads. Freight brokers use their personal network of trucking companies as well as load boards and other pieces of software to find the perfect fit for each shipment. This involves discussing factors like the size and weight of the load, pickup and delivery times, special requirements for their equipment, maybe like a tarp, e-tracks, chains, insurance coverage, and of course, the price, right? Covering loads, this is where the rubber meets the road, literally. Once your loads are posted to the load boards like DAT, and you've reached out to carriers in your network that you've already worked with, balancing the incoming calls from your load posts or emails with the outbound calls you're also going to make to carriers that you think are a fit, it's a delicate dance. So it takes practice to really get comfortable juggling all of this at the same time that you're negotiating the best carrier for each load and situation. So don't get frustrated if you're overwhelmed at first. We all are when we start. Just stick with it and focus on things task by task, one thing at a time. Next up, prospecting. Prospecting is the lifeblood of your business. Timing and tone of voice are everything when reaching out to potential new clients. Experiment with different times of day and different approaches to find what works best for you and for each niche within the industry. Bring the energy when you're making calls. A great tip for this that I still do to this day is if you're feeling a little sluggish or you didn't get a great night's sleep or you just want to make sure you really perform well in the next call, stand up when you're making your phone calls, right? And the other thing is to smile. And especially even when you don't feel like it, are really some of the two most simple but effective tips that can increase the amount of customers you're going to close on each phone call you make. When I first started, I had a little mirror that I would tape up right above my phone, and I drew a smiley face right on it with an erasable marker. So one, I could see very clearly whether or not I was smiling, what my energy looked like, and it was just a great reminder that whatever I'm expressing, this other person is hearing. And the more energy and the happier you are, the more likely somebody's going to want to engage with you and actually have a conversation, right? Now, I'm a really visual person, right? So when I think about the mentality for prospecting, I always think of Winnie the Pooh and his friends. Winnie the Pooh, he makes friends everywhere he goes. The same with Rabbit, right? Rabbit is always upbeat. They leave every person they meet in one of these stories, right, better than they came across them, in a better situation, right? Now, Eeyore is the exact opposite. He's the character in the storybook, right, that has a problem for everyone's solution. And we all know someone like this, right? Hell, we've probably all been this person from one time to time, right? But the truth is, how many of you, right, intentionally spend time with people that act like this? Almost never, right? Same goes for prospecting. In its simplest sense, all we are doing is making phone calls to meet new people. And hopefully we can become friends and work together. That's it. So keep it simple and keep it upbeat. Now, for those just starting to prospect, quality trumps quantity at first. So start small and stay consistent, and gradually increase your calls per day. It's the steady and consistent activity that is going to drive success in this industry. Now, whatever your initial call goal is, maybe it's 5 calls, 10, or 20 when you're just starting, right? Do your best to maintain that volume every day, then increase it by a factor of 2 each week. So 10 calls today becomes 20 calls per day next week. The following week, 40 calls per day, and so on, right? And for those of you experienced in business development, don't use quality over quantity to justify only making a handful of calls per day. Once you've been doing this for a few weeks, for sure after a few months, this is the majority of your time and where it should be spent every single day. Now, I'm going to go back to check calling carriers, right? And communicating with shippers. It's not just about tracking your loads first thing in the morning. It's also about assuring both carriers and customers that we're on top of things, even in a world where you have GPS. So scheduling check calls at least twice a day is really recommended. Early morning and usually mid-afternoon. Keep in mind that the best time to check in with a carrier is on their way to the pickup or the delivery, not when they are supposed to already be there to load. It's best to prevent as many problems as you can, and hearing about a breakdown or a late arrival from your customer first is absolutely unacceptable. If your customer calls you at the time your truck is supposed to load, asking where your driver is, you need to have that answer. And most of these situations, to be honest, they're preventable if you are constantly on top of when and where your carriers are long before the shippers and receivers are expecting them to show up. Now we're going to segue into lead generation, because it is not only important, but you need to be doing this continually. And that is spend dedicated time each day refreshing your lead list, right? Ensuring that you've always been adding new opportunities and new potential companies into this list. Most brokers, at least most of the successful ones I know, we do this before hours and after hours, right? 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night after most of our customers have gone home. And the reason for this is it doesn't require anyone else to be available. And the amount of new leads that you need to add, right, it's going to vary. It'll vary based on the number of calls and conversations you're actually having. So this time in the middle of the day between 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock, right, that is the most valuable time that you have every day that is finite. You don't get any more when your customers are actually going to be there to answer the phone. So you don't want to be spending your time generating leads in your most valuable part of your day when you can do that at any time, before work or after work. Now, think about this, right? Because the faster you are connecting with prospects, the more you can call every day, the more you can reach out to, the more you can connect with, right? The faster you're going to move them through the sales cycle, right? And the more leads that move through your sales cycle, the more you're going to need to add every week or every day from a new source that need to get dumped back into your bucket of leads, which would be your CRM, Customer Relationship Management System. Now, lastly, usually at the end of the day, and again, sometimes this is before I'll do my lead generation, but it is definitely around the end of the day, I'm going to circle back with all of my customers. I'm going to keep them updated on the load statuses and any changes that might have come up in their plans or our plans, because it's really all about just being proactive with our communication and staying one step ahead of a potential issue. As you navigate the highs and lows of the freight brokerage world, remember, consistency is your compass and perseverance is your fuel. Be tenacious, tenacity, right? The path to success is paved with disciplined prospecting and unwavering dedication. So no matter what the challenges that come your way, keep dialing, keep hustling, and success will shortly follow. And remember, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.